Welcome to Promote Profit Publish. I'm your host, Juliette Clark, and today's guests are going to show us some extraordinary things they're doing with AI. Super excited about it. If you're an entrepreneur, small business owner, and you're struggling, you may find some value in the program that they had. I know I did. And at the end, they actually lay out my whole campaign for the September panel. So kind of excited about that as well. So with that said, if you're someone who wants to watch the demonstration as we walk through it, see everything that's going on, I suggest you go over to our YouTube channel, Super Brand Publishing, and I think you'll be kind of blown away by what you're going to see here. So I'll get to that in a minute. Before I introduce our guests, I want to remind you next week is our Go High Level training. And actually, it's not next week, it's 2 days from now. So it's the 17th. And this month's Go High Level training is building effective and efficient funnels. And for someone who just spent a month building one that was outrageously complicated and getting it wrong a lot, I'm hoping that this will help everybody out there so you don't go through what I went through with Go High Level and building these funnels. I had an idea, and the way I did it was a little bit more complicated, so I was glad I had somebody come in and streamline that for me. So today's guests were going to show me their fabulous AI programs and show you as well are a father and daughter duo. Steve Kirch, PhD, after more than 25 years as a high-tech leader and executive, focuses his passion in people, processes, organizations to help small business leaders, SMB leaders, professionals expand value by leveraging AI in every aspect of business growth. The groundbreaking AI methods incorporated throughout his Profit Minds growth system enhances profits, accelerates productivity, and scales operations to deliver transformative results with his daughter, Suzanne Kirch, as AI guru. Profit Minds guarantees game-changing outcomes as they enable every employee in every role to produce every deliverable faster and easier using AI. The results are immediate and the tangible, providing exceptional value in business and your career. Suzanne, whose daughter, while working on her Master of Mathematics degree, Suzanne Kirsch discovered her fascination with AI. If only the rest of us could math like Suzanne does. I know I can't. She worked for a small AI startup named Cognosur, first as an intern and then as an employee upon completion of her master's. During this time, she became an inventor on 6 patent pendings and also serving as the primary inventor on 2 of them. Suzanne's fascination with AI stems partly from its unique combination of fields, applied mathematics, computer science theory, linguistics, and particularly in the realm of NLP, that's natural language processing, which I love. I use NLP for my sales. She's working with her father, Steve Kirch, at Profit Mind. So you guys, we are going to really love this because when you see how these guys work together and what they've created, it is truly this system that will allow you to not only streamline for your employees, but save hours. It actually shows you the number of hours that you're saving. So stay tuned for Steve and Susie. Steve and Susie, welcome. I'm excited for you guys to show this new tool to my audience.
Yeah, thanks.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Juliette. So we're going to show you a little bit of how you can use AI to help run your business as a solopreneur. So Susie, you want to share screen?
Yeah, so what this is going to do is going to create an 8x8 matrix of job deliverables. So these are things that you would create as part of the work that you do. This knowledge workers, which is what a lot of us are. We take stuff from our brain and we get it on some sort of document, spreadsheet, presentation, white paper, whatever it is. But there are a lot of different things that we end up doing. And so what we're going to do is create a table of responsibilities, a table of things that you would do. And so we're looking at solopreneur coaches. And so we should be seeing some amount of work in the business and some amount of work on the business. So let's see if I can spell.
Solopreneur coach.
Right. So we have a number of different pieces, right? So we have 8 different columns. We have client strategy, marketing and visibility, program design, content creation, sales and revenue, client management, business operations, and self-development are the primary categories.
What do you think, Juliet? Does that sound pretty good?
That does. And when it's funny because when you guys did this for me before, there were a few of these things that I wasn't doing that I needed to pick up. So I love this, especially the self-development part, because so many entrepreneurs just like, oh, here's my skill and I'm not going to grow it. Just like golf we were just talking about, where
yeah. How about burnout prevention plans?
Yes.
Any of these coaches you think might suffer from a little bit of just overwhelm and burnout?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I always joke about, when someone's a brand new entrepreneur, how, they show up at their desk and they're showered and they're clean and they're so happy not to go to to corporate America. And then about 4 months in, they're like not showered, they'll be draggled, the dog's looking at them like, dude, shower. So we all go into it with the best of intentions and end up in the burnout phase.
Yeah. But I actually really like this self-development column, just looking through it, right? So we have personal development plans. So this would be, growing what you do, learning more, right? Adding more to your toolbox, reflective journaling guides. So not just going through the day-to-day drudgery, but actually thinking about it, right? What are we doing? What are we working on, right? Similarly, we have some skill development roadmaps, but then we have things like burnout prevention plans, mindset shift worksheets, energy management schedules, focus and flow schedules, and year-in review reflections, right? So we're not just looking at, some of the general grow your skills, grow your business, but making sure that you're actually being effective, making sure that you're not just working until you fall asleep on your computer and then waking up the next morning and doing it again, right?
Yeah.
We're making sure that we're effective in our work.
Yeah. Most people, when they think of how they're going to use AI, if you go back to the top, the columns that they think about are content creation, maybe some client management, for certainly marketing and visibility. Those are the kinds of things that are sort of run of the mill, if you will. And there's lots of AI tools out there to help you do those kinds of things. What we do with our clients is we help them look across the board at all of the deliverables, everything that they need to do. Here we have client management and business operations, and maybe you have a couple of virtual assistants that might be helping you with some of that stuff, but it still needs to be done and you still need to manage it. So, Julia, which of these things do you think we should play with for to get a sample of how AI might help?
So I would go to let's do the quarterly strategy reviews, because I feel like a lot of times we don't go back and review what just happened. We just keep plodding forward. So, what can we do in that category that will keep us focused, looking at what worked and what didn't work?
Sounds great. So it's starting with, right? So the quarterly strategy reviews, it's explaining how it's interpreting this. So this is a deliverable to help your solopreneur clients reflect on progress, realign goals, and plan their next 90 days with intention.
So this could be used if you were a coach. You might be coaching a solopreneur, or it might be used something that you might use in your own business.
Probably a little of both.
Yeah, probably a little of both. And it's funny because the client I had before this, we actually went through, we have a planning course where we take the yearly, we break it into quarterly, we break it into monthly, we break it into weekly. So I think this would be really helpful for people who get overwhelmed easily.
I don't know what that's like at all.
Yeah, none of us do.
Yeah. So before we move on, Susie, let's make sure we're really creating the right thing here, because sometimes AI, and they have, because when you said solopreneur, you had, I think you talked about
Put
being
in solopreneur coach.
right.
But I think
So
it has it as a coach of solopreneurs as opposed to someone who is.
Yes. So let's make sure that this is a deliverable, something that they can use in their own business.
Yes.
As
Right.
a
Well, so
solopreneur rather than
it's in the client strategy,
right.
which means that it would be used with your clients.
Correct.
Is how I read it, as opposed to on your own business. Though certainly there's nothing that says that the things that you develop for your clients you can't use yourself.
Of course. So let's be a little bit more specific. Let's correct this just slightly. And this is the kind of thing you have to do with AI all the time, is let's correct this, not up at the top here, but where we are. Let's just go there and add, not, I was going to say, yeah, you could go in and we could edit this prompt, or we could go in at the end of this and say, I really want this to be something that I can use on my own business.
Yes. Yes. And I love that concept, because let's face it, if you're teaching something that you're not doing in your own business, you're probably not teaching it very well. I find that
before you hit send.
Yep.
As a solopreneur, on my own business as a solopreneur.
There we go. Yes.
Great.
So this is one of those things, those tricky things about when you're using AI, you have to make sure that the context. So when Susie said coach solopreneur or solopreneur coach, it interpreted that as you are a coach of solopreneurs, as opposed to that you are a solopreneur who happens to be a coach. And so if you don't get that quite right, then you need to make sure that you need to make sure the context is correct. But I think this should work now.
Right. So now it's looking at it for your own solopreneur business, to step back, assess performance, reflect on what's working, and recalibrate. Right. So this is not just, oh, this is working, this is not. Right. We want to be able to use that information to adjust. So creating, right, a slide deck or document, you can review it on your own, share it with a coach. Right. We always encourage people to have business coaches, right? The example that my dad loves to use is Steph Curry, arguably one of the greatest shooters, at least of right now, if not ever, has a shooting coach, right? In some ways, the higher up you get, the more coaches you seem to have and accumulate and need. And so, right, this is something that you can do for yourself, but you can review it, right? Who's your accountability buddy? Who's whether it's somebody in your network or an actual coach, right? But have this as something that you can review with others. They might see something that you don't. And so we start with an executive summary, then looking at a recap of goals, right? How did your goals go? Which ones were completed? Which ones got partway through? Did you drop any? And then look at metrics, right? Revenue, leads, conversion, audience growth, client satisfaction. And then how did your offers do? How did your marketing do? How effective was it? Where did your time and energy go? Was it actually a useful use of your time and energy? What lessons did you learn? And then what are you wanting to do next quarter? All right, so this is just an outline of the document, what it essentially would look like, the basic pieces and building blocks for it. But what we're now going to do is create an SOP, right? So you need some sort of Google Docs slides. This can be Microsoft Office 365. This can be Apple tools. Doesn't really matter. You need some sort of word processor or slideshow presentation creator. And then you need your metrics, and, all of your data. So, right, you got to start with actually setting aside time to do it.
Get a fresh beverage.
Hey, they didn't say what kind.
Yeah. Please don't drink. Put the alcohol away when you're doing this. You need good time. This is so funny. This is following right along the lines of the platform planning course that I have every October. It starts out with that evaluation. Sit quietly. Think about, the things you did. This is interesting. Oh, you just replaced me. No.
No one can replace you, Julia.
Well, thank you. They had to say that. I'm the host. So
yeah, if we don't, she may not post the episode. But right, we want to review your goals. What did you have in there? How successful? And then reflect, right? The point of this is reflection and learning. Mm-hmm. Collecting your key metrics, the data that you have, all of those things with, how many new email subscribers do you have? How many new followers do you have in your social media? Engagement rates, right? How many people actually opened those emails you sent? How many people are liking or commenting on your social media posts? It's always good to ask for feedback. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't or haven't in the past, you can always start now. But right, making sure that you're getting information back from your clients. And then we reflect on the offer performances. Which offers worked well? Which ones didn't? Do you need any pricing or delivery changes? Look at your time and your energy. So looking at your calendar, your planner, however you organize what you do on the day-to-day. What was energizing? What was draining? And then look at the lessons learned and the next quarter's focus. And then, of course, you can assemble however it is and look at, right? Schedule your strategy session. But obviously, this can take a while. Mm-hmm. But we can make this go a little bit faster with AI. And so what we're going to look at is for each step in the standard operating procedure, we're going to get 3 pieces. What ChatGPT or your generative AI of choice can do out of the box, what a virtual assistant, so whoever your assistant may be, trained to use generative AI can do, but then you still need to do, right? There's always going to be something where you need to double check, you need to make sure that everything is correct. So, right, your VA can help you schedule that block of time. Make sure that you put it in, right? Make sure nobody schedules meetings on top of it. And so, right, so again, it can create the template. Your VA can help you schedule it in, and then you just have to confirm it. So that step's easy. And then, right, so now we have ChatGPT can look at the goals and pieces that you had. Your VA can retrieve them, right? So maybe the VA retrieves them, throws them into generative AI that then summarizes, organizes those goals, right? And then you do the actual reflection, right? And so we see this for each of these pieces. There's something, and this is just the order they're put in. It's not need to be done in this order, right? So for example, in this step 2, right, it would be helpful to retrieve your goals first, right? So now when we're looking at metrics, the VA can pull those numbers from the platforms and then add them to ChatGPT or your generative AI of choice, who can then create those tables and templates, right? And then you're double checking. Your VA can organize the data. ChatGPT can then take that data and summarize it. And now you're reflecting on the emotional resonance, the delivery experience. So there's a lot of things where your VA and your generative AI are working together to gather the data and get it summarized. but now you're looking at it and you're reflecting. What is it that worked? What is it that didn't work? And so we see this, right, again, for time and energy audit, capturing lessons learned, setting the next quarter priorities. So ChatGPT in this case is now helping with brainstorming. Your VA can create some type of table or slide deck for the next roadmap, but you still have to make the final calls, right? You still own your decisions.
Yeah. Susie, I'd like to just jump in real quick here and go back to
Yes,
that
please.
one, right? One of the things that we find that the generative AI tools are really, really good for is brainstorming. I prefer to suggest anyway that we shouldn't ask ChatGPT for the answer, but we should ask it for options, for ideas, for, and it may, and rather than just say 1 to 3 focus areas, maybe you really want to have 3 to 5 focus areas, and then you pick a few as a way of maybe enhancing this a little bit.
Back when we were in advertising, we did brainstorming with alcohol. How will ChatGPT help us with that?
Don't pour alcohol in your computer.
Yeah, don't do that.
It definitely has drawbacks.
Not a good thing. And coffee doesn't help the computer either.
So.
Though it may help the computer operator.
Yes, it may help the computer. One thing I would like to point out before we go any further, that this initial, we're getting into the nitty gritty here, but up in that initial evaluation, I want everybody, and I stress this in the planning course as well, this is not an opportunity for you to sit there and beat yourself up. It's an opportunity for you to see what you could have done better and how you can improve on that. So I really want to make that clear to everybody, because sometimes when we start this reflective journey, we get a little down on ourselves. Don't do that. Take it away very objectively, hold it out from you, and really be honest with yourself about why it didn't work. Did you not show up? Were you not engaged? And then, set yourself on a course to improve on that in the future, but don't get down on yourself.
Yeah, I can't agree more with that, Juliet. I think my favorite book in this space is The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Ben Hardy, where solopreneurs, we are so often, when we fall short of a goal, whether we make it 50% of the way there or 80% of the way there, we always beat ourselves up for that thing that we didn't reach. Mm-hmm. And rather than to celebrate what we did do, and to say, wow, I got 50% of the way there, I got 80% of the way there. Think of where you were a quarter ago and think of what you've accomplished and focus on that rather than focus on the gap.
Okay, sorry, Susie.
No, you're good. It's like Dad's told me that so many times.
I know, and Susie recommended that book and I never bought it. I went and bought the other one.
Well, nobody's perfect.
So now we're going to ask the AI to create some prompts.
This is one of those things that I feel like generally speaking, when people are talking about and thinking about using AI, they always think that they need to be great at creating those prompts. You really don't, because all you need to do is ask for the prompts that you need. So you can say, hey, I'm working on this kind of things. What prompts do I need to get this done? So in this case, it's getting specifically the prompts for each stage. Now, I think in general, these prompts, especially if it's focusing on the data collection or the summary, these are prompts that your VA would be able to use as their piece in the process, because a lot of the times, at least based on the previous AISOP, right, you were doing a lot of notes and reviewing and reflecting, while the generative AI in your VA were gathering the data and summarizing the data. So a lot of these prompts would probably be used by your virtual assistant. And then you're reviewing, you're double checking, right? So a lot of these, maybe the VA is double checking to make sure that it interpreted everything correctly. And then you go through the information and you put in the extra comments, your observations, what you learned, things like that. So we have prompts for each of these, right? Including every now and again, like, you need to paste this in because it can't summarize goals if it doesn't have that information, right? And so, right, again, for our metrics collection and insights, we're asking for a table for all of these metrics. And so we need to give them that data if we want it to put it in itself. And so again, we're looking at all of this. It's summarizing the information. It's breaking down the data pieces, right? So we can look at the actual layout of the data. How effective were we actually, instead of getting bogged down by the numbers?
Yeah. And Susie, I just want to mention here, not to be scoldy to all the coaches that are listening, but I find that most of you don't even look at your analytics. So this is really an opportunity to go outside, not be emotional about it, and see it in black and white, instead of just kind of, well, I think I'm doing okay type of thing, and being attached to the outcome.
Yep. So the last piece that we're going to do is a time study. So this is looking at how much time would it take you to do this without AI, and how much time would it take you to do this with AI. And so we see that in general, right, without AI and with AI, so we're saving decent chunks of time on each piece of the job. So without AI, it would likely take 9 hours. With AI, right, you're doing the reviewing, you're adding your comments, you're doing the reflecting. And so you're saving 6.5 hours per quarter, right? That's almost an entire workday that you're saving.
And if you do this once a quarter, then that's 26 hours a year.
That's 8 golf games, almost.
Right? We can even extend this. Granted, it's assuming 160 hours per month, which means that you are not working extra ever.
Only 40 hours a week, guys, gals.
Which rarely happens when you own your own business.
That's right.
So I understand that this is a gross underestimate for some of you.
But it's directionally correct.
Yes.
Yeah. And
so we see that, right? So it's looking at, for client strategy, current time investment is maybe 25 hours. So you can potentially save 12 to 15 hours, right? And this is all of this information we will have in a document that'll be in the show notes, just so you guys can actually spend some time in reviewing this and actually thinking critically about these things.
Susie, you know what I see here right there?
What do you see?
For all of those women out there who are trying to get that time, family, life balance, this is it. When you can save this kind of time, you can pick your kids up from school. You can go to all their games. For me, that was always a huge struggle. This takes that away.
So you can
makes it easier.
Yeah. It's now you're saving about 3 hours a day.
Wow.
That's not small.
No,
right?
It's not small at all.
That's dropping your kids off, picking up your kids, eating dinner with your family, and maybe even playing a game with your kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Reading them a book. Oh, I always loved story time with my folks. But right, like it's not just about using AI to get more done, but helping your life balance, getting you some of your life back, right? We're not just trying to make sure that everyone's working themselves to the bone.
That's not the goal. The goal, believe it or not, is to make sure that everybody is successful in all aspects, which does include work-life balance. Right?
Yeah. I think the other thing I see here as well is this would be something that you could really get your VAs organized and doing more, because when we have human to human communication, sometimes it just doesn't come across. When you've got something like this where it's detailed, this is what I need you to do, this is when, you basically have something you could send out once a week or once, every morning to say, this is what we need to get done today. And it's streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no more Monday morning staff meetings. Wouldn't that be great?
Oh, I don't know. I still think that Monday morning staff meeting, to make sure that they understand, that everybody understands what they need to get done this week. We do that in Profit Minds. We have our Monday staff meetings, make sure everybody's aligned, everybody understands the goals for the week. Everybody, if there aren't any roadblocks, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the biggest advantage, right? Because now you're, to some extent, right now it's turning your staff meetings from purely operational to strategic, right? Mm-hmm. It's not making sure we're plotting through all the things that need to be done, but it's what roadblocks do you have? How can I help you be more effective? How can you help me be more effective, right? We work to help each other get through whatever things instead of just looking at what it is that we need to be doing.
Mm-hmm. I would imagine too, when your staff is more engaged in the actual strategy, they become a little bit more creative as well, because they are given that permission to, come to the table. Well, oh gosh, I saw you streamline that. What if we did this and made it even more streamlined? So I think it really encourages and invites them to participate more.
So, Juliet, we have one other tool I think we'd like to show folks.
Okay.
And that is what are you working on?
Okay.
So let's come up with a task here. What are you working on, Juliet, in your business that you'd like to maybe see how AI could help you?
Oh, wow. What am I working on in my business? Nothing. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't even come to mind. There's so much. I'm working on the panel for September. The marketing for that. Can we do something like that? Or okay. So we have a media marketing panel in September for authors. And I'd like to know what we can do to promote that more effectively, to get more people there.
So
this is for authors, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a media marketing panel for authors.
Yes.
Coming up in September.
Great.
Yes.
So what we're going to start with is a series of clarifying questions, right? This is all part of building the context. So AI really works with context. The more information that it has that is relevant to the task, right? More information is not necessarily better. We need it to be relevant as well. And so we're working on kind of gathering that relevant information so that we can then use that to actually create a plan that is relevant to what you're trying to do. So we're starting with the first question is, what is your primary goal with the marketing campaign? Are you trying to maximize attendance at the panel, attract high-profile, relevant authors to participate, build long-term brand awareness for your media marketing services? All of the above. You can also pick some combination of these.
It's like A and B,
C,
for example.
or something like that.
Okay, so it would be A and probably C.
Anything else as well, or just primarily those two?
Yeah, I'm not concerned about the high profile authors already have good marketing media in place. So I don't think I would I don't know which low profile. That
Well,
just
so
sounds like
relevant authors, right?
yes, relevant authors to participate. So it would be B, but without the high profile. They would
Okay.
like to be high profile.
Okay. But mostly focusing on relevant authors. So it's kind of all of the above with caveats. Now we have what kind of authors?
B, so self-published and indie, nonfiction authors. Those are the bulk
B,
of
B and
what we
C.
do. Yeah, B and C.
Right. That's what I thought, but I wanted to check. So where are you planning to promote the panel?
Email marketing to my list and my partners list who will be on it, social media. I don't use author communities a lot. So I would say A and B. I don't use author communities because I find, oh gosh, this is going to be so bad. I'm finding out a lot of them are where the broke people live. So
Yeah.
you do have to, when you have a business, you have to cater to those who have the funds to buy your services.
I'm clarifying that A is also to the partners lists as well. It's not just to your own.
Okay, and can I add one other thing? Does it have to
Sure.
be? Okay, so the other would be podcast and ads.
Like ad campaigns?
Yes. What is my biggest clarifying offer message? Reaching the right authors. Getting people to actually register or commit. Definitely C.
Any of the others or any other?
No, I've already got the message. I'm reaching the right authors. Yeah, maybe put B and C there. Let's put B and
Okay.
C because maybe there's some right authors I'm missing.
So now it's summarizing what it's learned, right? So you're working on marketing for the media marketing panel for authors that's happening in September. It's giving you the goals as per the previous question, right? The ways that you're planning on promoting the panel and the biggest challenges. So is this correct?
Yes.
Great.
And so what time frame now?
When would you like to have the bulk of your marketing built and launched?
Built by August 1st, not October 1st. Built by August 1st, launched the second week of September. So launched after Labor Day for mid-September. The panel's in mid-September. And I want everybody to notice there, I did that marketing over about 7 to 10 days. We don't need to market for months. People forget.
That's good pro tip. So we're now going to gather a series of potential solutions from expert sources. So these are specifically expert-backed solutions. I already see one of them that I've heard of, right? Building a story brand.
Yep.
We love our story brand, right? So all of these, it's essentially here's the solution that I would try, and then who suggested it, and looking at what I would do and why I would do it this way.
Love that.
Right. So we start with.
Can I just say, those you watching,
Yeah.
People don't buy vague outcomes. Thank you.
Happy to help. Use authority positioning to attract authors.
Okay.
We have build a warm-up funnel with value first.
The book Launch by Jeff Walker. Yeah.
Tap into micro-influencer networks. Looking at the referral engine.
Robert Cialdini.
Okay, leverage back, get podcast guesting. And you
Yeah.
guys, if you've been listening to what we've been doing here, you saw those 2 by Tracy Hazard that she did last month, which were incredible. How to not only book yourself, but market when you're done.
And
Okay,
then a
one was,
Seth Godin book, right?
right. You're going to send me this, right? You just did.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
I have a lot of
sure.
these already, but I've never heard of Daniel Priestley before. So,
Yeah.
So
some books.
you now get to pick. I probably would suggest picking 1 to 3. I wouldn't try to pick more than that. But you now get to pick one of these solutions, one or a couple.
Or more
But
to
what would you like to try?
So let's go to the Jeff Walker one, the warm-up funnel.
I need to remember which.
Yeah, number 3.
This one. Okay.
And you guys, I'm going to give you a suggestion here. If you're someone who runs panels or a monthly, as Susie was saying, choose 1 or 2 of these. Choose 1 or 2 and build upon it every time. So keep this around. Try 1 or 2, then build on that and do 1 or 2 the next time on top of the ones you already chose. So you're kind of breaking it down into small chunks.
Because you can also take, this is what I learned from what I did last time. This is what worked. This is what didn't. Because one of the things that we could say instead of giving a number is, I tried these previously. They didn't work very well for me. Right? This is what I found, right? Because this is a dialogue. It's a dialogue with generative AI. And so, yes, we are just picking one of these, but you can always say, I like these few, but I'm not as sure about these. Can you give me some additional suggestions more along the lines of these solutions, right? You can get it to kind of tailor towards the kinds of things that you're really looking for, right? Just because these are the 7 that it gives you does not mean that you have to pick one of these 7.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going with solution number 3. And so now we're looking at identifying constraints.
Okay.
you can see this is a pretty comprehensive tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very comprehensive. Okay, budget restraints. Cool. I have that. Time constraints. Team constraints. Okay, that's interesting. Content, video shy. Nobody ever talks about that. All right. So do I have to choose one of those?
Well, you could say all of the above if you want,
Or it can be
I
some
don't-
number of them.
or several of them.
Yeah, content's never a restraint for me. Budget's not usually, because I can do it myself if I need to. Let's say time, because time is probably my biggest challenge.
Okay.
I don't think
Just
you're
not
alone on
enough
that.
hours in the day. Well, there are, but the old body doesn't want to work them anymore.
That's a different problem.
Yes.
So now what we're going to do, so we have our solution, we have our constraints. And so we're now going to create a solution matrix with expert advice for each action step. So what it's going to do is it's going to create a series of action steps. And for each of these action steps, these experts are going to give you some additional things that you can look at, some additional suggestions that you can incorporate into each of these action steps, right? Because it's not just about, okay, here's your list of actions, now go do, right? Sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes we like to overthink things. And so it's breaking it down into these different pieces so we can actually look at kind of a well-rounded strategy and series of steps.
I love this. I hope you guys are looking at this. It just gave me a very in-depth checklist, basically,
Yep.
of what I need to do. More in-depth than the one I use. So you guys better be sending this to me when it's done.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get an action plan with plug and play prompts. So basically, here are the prompts you need to do the thing.
Now,
So
you
your
guys,
action, why to take it, here's your prompt.
yeah. Now, you guys, I know it seemed like we took the long way and they did go a little bit slower, But just think how fast you could do this yourself if, Susie doesn't have to run it for you.
Right. Normally, I'm not narrating this for people. I'm just running it myself.
Yeah,
so
just running
it done pretty quickly.
Right. So,
but now we have a series of prompts for each of the actions. And of course, remember, back here, if there are any of the steps you don't like, you can tell it to change it. At any point, if there's something that you are not happy with, don't just say, yes, you're ready to move on. Tell it what you want it to fix.
Or maybe you want to pull in, something from Robert Cialdini that you like for one of these steps.
Or maybe one of the experts you just don't like. Or it's something that you've tried a lot, but never seems to work for you. So you want to replace that expert with somebody else, right? All of these are reasonable adjustments. And so then we have all of our plug and play prompts. And of course, right, I'm going to pause it at this point, but it's now going to review, right? So have all of the experts look at these, make sure that it's doing the right thing, right? So
what would Donald Miller say about this particular approach?
Yeah. Like that. I have all those books in there, so I could probably look it up too without ChatGPT. Well, you guys, this was fantastic. Now what are you working on? You're going to give this away as a free gift so they can play with it, aren't you?
Indeed. Yeah. So this is just a singular version of a prompt that you can create yourself. And that's a lot of what we teach, or at least what I teach as part of the AI course, the AI transformation method program that we have. Is it's not just about using AI to get stuff done, but it's about building your own tools. You don't have to be reliant on somebody having already built a tool out there that'll do what you need it to do.
Yeah. So you guys, thank you so much. This was amazing. We will put the prompt the link for you to try and play with this in the show notes. And I just want to mention, I'm working with Steve and Susie on some upcoming projects that hopefully we can get off the ground. If you have an idea for AI, reach out to them. They're more than happy to, to check with you, see what they can build, what they can't. I'm finding that I want it to do everything for me, and they keep telling me what kind of AI has not been developed yet.
Artificial general intelligence doesn't exist yet.
There you go. I never remember what it is, but I want that thing that just does it all for me.
Well, that's fair.
So they're working on it, but you can reach out. Susie, Steve, where do we find you guys at if we want to set up an appointment and talk to you about a project?
Yeah, so the best way is just reach out on LinkedIn. We'll put the LinkedIn links in the show notes, or send us an email, and we'll have those email addresses in the show notes. Stephen@profitminds.net or Suzanne@profitminds.net.
Great. Thank you guys so much. This was fantastic.
You bet.